podcast, we are going to have to fix something because we have got echoing going on. I'm not even seeing that, so you can take that down. All right, there are so many incredible things to announce, and yeah, minor technical difficulties, those are getting removed out of the way. But I have been holding some amazing news. I can't tell you everything that's going on because we're on the cusp of some really big stuff, but some of it, it is time, and I am so excited. First of all, you've been hearing about my book some, and we now have a launch date. It's 3 day launch date, and it's in June. Now, the book will be completely finished as of next week. We're talking the final edits done, the layout done. But the reason we have this launch date, I'll tell you that because that's the next big thing. But we've got the cover design, we've got the back cover material, and we're trying to recruit people to be a part of a book launch team. And you're going to get a free copy. If you join the book launch team, you'll get a free pre release copy of the book and a synopsis of the book, which if you read the synopsis, it'll be like getting the whole story. And then you can read as much of the book as possible. And all we're asking for is that you would go on Amazon and give us a review. The target for a program that we have signed up for and we're working with is for most authors 50. We're shooting at 100 and we are already well on the way to that. I have over 30 people committed right now and we expect to hit 100. I would love to see 1,000 people sign up for our launch team to get a pre-release copy of the book and to give us a review. I want to. That's what I'm praying for. I'm saying, God, would you give us 1,000? Let me tell you, didn't understand how important that was back in the day. Publishing traditional means coming out of the background I came. Everything has changed. And if you go and look at the God Speaks Bibles, which I would be glad for you to, you'll see one of the editions has one review right now. It's the genuine leather version of it. And yet we've sold thousands and thousands. We were never asking people to leave a review. And that affects the algorithm. It affects how many people see it. When people look at it, it looks like, oh, wow, there's hardly anybody has been impacted by this. And yet we know many people have. So we're being very intentional now because we want the resources that God has given us to impact the nations, to impact the world. And part of that is a whole new way of going about that. So I want to encourage you, invite you to join our launch team. There's going to be a QR code or a link, copy and paste. I'm not sure exactly in the description below, but want to ask you to join our launch team. You'll get a copy, an early release copy. You don't have to buy a copy of the book. Now that helps in the algorithms, and we're going to make everything as easy to understand, as easy to do as possible in the journey. And that's one of the reasons why if you sign up, we're going to communicate, not flood you with a ton of emails, but leading up to our launch date, want to let you know when that is. And because verified purchaser makes the algorithm look even better, and it shows you didn't just pay a bunch of people in some other foreign country to write a bunch of fake reviews or have a bot write reviews. I don't even know exactly how it's done, but verified user means something in that world. So, or verified purchaser. So we're going to tell you about all that stuff. And I know there's a lot of people that have been sharing their excitement, and so we're trying to capture that and build some momentum. And so the next announcement, I got to tell you the story. So the name of the book is The Father Sings Over Me. And it's interesting because that title it's about the message that God birthed out of one of the most trying, challenging times in our lives. Now, one of the greatest miracles I've ever seen is my own son dying and coming back from the dead. Let me tell you, yesterday I got from the hospital records because I already had people going, it's obvious these Christians are all liars. Look, this guy's saying that his son was dead for 40 minutes and God raised him from the dead. Big fat lie. Well, now I actually have medical records, and that's going to be available for people that sign up to see the pictures, to see the medical records. We're going to, like, you can challenge this, but you could go and find these medical records are on record this is what God did. God is an amazing God. He's in the business of raising the dead. So, but that was born out of the title, and part of the story that has impacted people around the world came out of just my personal time with Nathaniel at night. After we cleaned him and dressed him, I would go, and he's in a drug-induced coma. We didn't even know at the time how serious the drugs they were giving him were: fentanyl and methadone, adult doses. I believe it's a miracle that he's alive today and he's doing as well as he's doing, because the kind of stuff that he was on, I watched him detox for close to a week. And I would not even have remembered that, except that I've gone through this manuscript. I can't tell you how many times, and reread it. And a lot of it was our notes right there, day after day, of what was taking place. And so, but I would sing over Nathaniel, and I would sing these two songs. One was from a woman in England, and one was by a guy named Jason Upton. I would sing this mashup of these two songs night after night after night after night. It's just he and my time together. And he's in a drug-induced coma. So I'm thinking, no one ever sees this. I'm trying to minister to his spirit. I love him. I care about him. I would trade places with him if I could. I don't know what else to do except pray over him. And for whatever reason, singing this song was a thing that I felt like we were experiencing, but I couldn't tell. He couldn't tell me, gee, Dad, thanks for singing that. But it became the message that God birthed when I was in Africa at first. And then it was even when I was on Sid Roth. I ended up teaching after the show to the studio audience, and I shared the story there, and I've shared it around the world, and it's impacted people. Even recently, the Lord's just been opening up doors for me to speak on all different kind of subjects, but I weave in the Father's love and telling some of that story, and it impacts people about every time. So in order to go to print with this, we're recording the song, I had to get permission. And so I had to reach out to Helen Burgess, who wrote "Don't You Know the Father Loves You," and connect with her. It's been amazing, and we're blessing her for letting us use the song. And then I'm reaching out to Jason Upton, and in that process, I decide I think I can get more direct connection if I go, what would it take to book Jason to come here? And it was kind of my way to get to communicate with him. I'm just being real, but I'm like, I also want to be a man of integrity. So I was like, let me find out what it would take, and then just make the determination that that would be too much, too hard. But instead, I was like, let's do this. Well, once I connected with Jason Upton and his team, I was like, would you guys come? And we'll do a concert series across the state, some of the places that are meaningful to me, some of my spiritual brothers and fathers in the faith. And so we are now doing 3 concert tour with Jason Upton, myself. It's going to be tied to a book launch, and we're doing it at Abide Church here in Brandon, Florida. We are doing it at Champions Church in Winter Haven, Pastor Nolan Edwards. We're doing it at First Assembly DeLand, Florida, and Pastor Mike Monica and all the team there, and really excited. They're all excited, and so we're going to do 3 nights with Jason Upton, myself, all about the Father singing over us. It says that in Zephaniah 4, that he rejoices over us with singing, that is God wants us to understand the kind of love that he has for us and the kind of father that he is. And the Lord spoke to me that I was a good father, and we can keep the peanut gallery quiet. Yes, Andrew's producing this show, and so he may have comments about that. But that's what God was telling me. And he said, people need to see what a father's love looks like. And so, I'm just doing this all by myself with Nathaniel. But when the Lord began to ask me to share that story, he said, Richard, you're a good father, and they need to see what a good father looks like. You singing over you standing watch over your son, you're praying over him. He's like, that's like me. They need to see that. But then he's like, Richard, your best days as a father, your ability to love your kids is nothing in comparison to my love for my people. And so that's what this concert and my speaking, and you're gonna get to hear the newest version of the song. We're recording that and getting instrumentation put to it, and it is gonna be amazing. and that's going to be tied into the book. This book is going to have QR codes. So while you're at that point and you're hearing about me singing over Nathaniel, you'll be able to click on a QR code and hear me sing. And then when I'm in Africa, it's a whole different version of it. And we're going to have that in there included in the book. There's going to be some really amazing, interesting content tied to this book. And one of the last things that I kind of want to bring up and invite anybody to pray about and join us is I've jumped into this by faith. It's going to be a fair amount of money to bring Jason in. There's a fair amount of money on the front end of launching a book the right way. And so we have looked at all that, our costs, and it's costing us in the neighborhood of $30,000 all told. And we are looking for some corporate sponsors to help cover these costs as much as we can in that manner. The concert's free of charge. And so we're going to ask for love offerings, and we want the whole thing to be covered. I actually want to be able to do this in some other states because one other thing is that I've been running a class called Master Discipleship class where I've been discipling, mentoring some different, they're all leaders themselves and some pretty amazing people, and I feel it quite an honor to mentor them. But part of that course has been pulling the book that God has put in them out and helping them write their first book and develop an online course and presence. And so we're going to be able to introduce some of those books even on the tour and in the weeks and months ahead. Some incredible things. One that is probably the closest to being finished is Coco Dawn Leonard on staff here. She has been writing a curriculum for churches to help to be able to train, lead kids that are coming with special needs. We know that population is exploding. The number of people with special needs is growing. And yet many of them, churches have not been equipped. How do we teach? How do we maintain a healthy learning environment with kids with all different kind of needs all across the spectrum? She does a phenomenal job with that. She has trained behavior analyst, behavior therapist, BCBA. Those titles may not mean much to you, but she has gotten her master's degree in a lot of these sciences, and she's been a children's pastor both at mega churches and at smaller churches. She's compiled all that and now written a training manual that's incredible, and so that's going to probably be about ready to launch, but you're going to get to touch it, feel it, hear more about that at this book launch. We've got others that are writing their book. One is another phenomenal book. I'll be announcing more about that one later. But the interesting thing is we were helping a brother write a book on one subject. And when we got to the day where we were going to do the interview and begin to pull the manuscript out, there was areas of his life that he needed ministry and needed healing. And we all decided to capture that on camera. And it was powerful time and some powerful breakthrough. It completely turned his book around, and it is going to be a book. Everybody on our team that's been hearing about it and watching his journey and the writing of that is going to be blown away. It's a book that's very needed in the body of Christ today, and we'll talk more about that. Others, some pretty phenomenal books coming down the pathway, the pike, we'll be sharing more about. But you'll get to know a little bit about Master's Discipleship class. I keep having people going, hey, when are you going to launch another one of these? And I'm mostly just gossiped about. I haven't even talked very broadly about it. But I know that God has put books in the hearts of many of his sons and daughters. And they don't know exactly how to get those things out. And the Lord's given us a pretty exciting process that is also going to be very successful at helping our authors launch their books in a best-selling status. So all the things that you're going to be watching me apply, we're actually helping all these other authors pull some of those pieces together because the publishing industry has changed. Having a traditional publisher, a big-name publisher, does not necessarily mean success for a book. It never has for me. All the books, and some I've done phenomenally well in, the publishers, and I had some of the biggest name publishers. I don't want to call any of them out right now, but I've had some big name publishers. We sold 99% of the books that that were sold of those titles. They sold very few. Now we want to help authors learn how to navigate. It's a whole new landscape out there. We've been learning it. We're inviting you into that process. So again, you could join the launch team for this book, get a free pre-release copy of it, and all you're going to be asked to do is write an Amazon review. You're also going to, just want to encourage you to come, be a part of the concert. It's free. We are covering it. Now, some of you may go, you know what? I believe in Jason Upton's one of my favorite. The Lord's blessed us. And maybe you want to be one of our sponsors. We got several levels of sponsorship. We've laid those out. But maybe you're going, hey, I can't start at $500, but I believe in this and I want to give something towards this. You can do that as well. But we're giving some recognition to people that are able to sponsor and help us cover the costs of this concert. So that's it in a nutshell. I'm sure there's things I've forgotten. Andrew's not helped me remember any of it or thrown in his 2 cents. But he has been working diligently in the background on a lot of things. And everybody on the team here, it's like there are days that I'm going, should I tell them the last thing that I did? Like I had a conversation with Jason Upton's people. And I said, hey, I'm working on bringing them in the midst of so much that we got going on. Everybody's just been excited, on board with all of it, but it's for our team. There's another huge thing that I'm not going to announce just yet. I want to really bad, but it's a big deal, a big blessing, and I can't wait to reveal it. But you're going to have to keep tuned, and we'll share more about that. And one last thing that is almost complete. It is down to some of the final touches. Is something that it's been amazing to watch. But one of the things that authors normally need and do are author pages, and I've stayed away from that. I want this ministry to be about Operation Life Force. I don't want it to be known as Richard Mull's ministry. Building a team, and we've got some amazing people, and I want people to know the rest of our team. When we do conferences, I have other team members speak. But being a successful author, one thing that's important is having an author page, people to be able to reach out to you. So finally, we have one, richardmull.com. And honestly, when I look at the website, I'm going, I want to have this guy come. This guy looks amazing. So it's weird. It's like there's a sense of embarrassment in introducing people to it, because I was like, I'm just Richard Mull. Like I don't see myself as a celebrity or anything like that. Don't necessarily look for that. But Lilibeth, who she is just phenomenal. She's a painter. We've featured her paintings at some of our banquets. The cover of my book is called The Father's Heart. And she painted that, and then we have a different edition of it because the Father Heart painting is a man walking with his daughter, and we have edition that's a man walking with his boy, because Nathaniel and the story is father and his son, and bigger than that because it's Dawn is co-author. She wrote a huge percentage of the book as well, and so it's written by Richard and Dawn Mull, and I forget what I was going to say. Oh, the author page. So I finally have an author page, and you can check it out, richardmull.com. And Lilibeth Kindle did that and just kind of blew me away. And it does look impressive, and you kind of take a look at it and you go, wow, what God's done in 26 years has been pretty incredible. He started before that, and he was doing a work in us and through us and more in us, like that refiner's fire. And everybody has a sense that there is something very significant that God is doing. The blessing, the favor has been awesome. Thank you for being a part of the team and following us, liking, sharing about these things. You'll be able to find